Hello and welcome to the first ever GSAC Mystery Tournament. Today we have a riveting match between two phenomenal players. Joined with me again on the casting couch, none other than the one and only Wesley. How are you doing, Wesley?
I'm doing great, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So just to reiterate very briefly, this tournament is called the Mystery Tournament because our players have absolutely no idea what game they will be running, what genre it is, what system it's on, nothing. We have a great match between our two runners, Tinf0ilhat, otherwise known as Adam, and CupofTo, otherwise known as Chan. So without further ado, let me get a final ready check from both of our players. Are you both ready?
Ready.
Okay, I'll count you in 3, 2, 1, go! Begin!
All right, I'm excited to see how both these players do in this, not knowing what game they're playing.
Yep.
And with a name like Todd's Adventures in Slime World, I think it can only be great things from this.
I just cannot wait. It's going to be so good. And this game in particular, I just really want to see played because it's pretty terrible. And I absolutely hated it when I was playing. So to see these guys have to face that, I can't wait.
And what better reason to have your friends play a game than you hated it so much and wanted someone else to hate it too?
Mm-hmm. Now, I've played... So I'm the play tester on this tournament, for anybody that doesn't know. And I've played tons of bad games that I thought, should this go in the tournament, should this not? But at the end of the day, this one made it into the tournament just because it's ridiculously difficult and you die super fast, but the checkpoint system is really forgiving. So you do make progress. And also, whenever you kill something, it stays dead forever. So you can, just spawn, kill one thing, die, and you're good. You're still making progress. So because of that reason, I thought, to include this one, I didn't think it was too difficult. I don't know. I mean, it's difficult.
And especially as we've seen with our previous game, one of the hardest parts is just going to be figuring out the controls and figuring out what their objective is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and just for everyone watching the VOD later, we have Tinf0ilhat here on the right-hand side and CupofTo on the left-hand side. So what do you think, Wes? How does this... what's the first impression of the game here? What are we doing?
Well, from what I've seen so far, I don't know if I would have found my way out of the first room as quickly as they both have.
Yep.
Because there doesn't seem to be any indication of what is a doorway into the next room and what is a solid wall.
Yep. Well, the doorways are like kind of roundish. I don't know if it's really easy to see. But
I'm seeing that now. Yeah. They're sort of like a concave little entrance, and that's how you can tell.
Mm-hmm. So also, so this is Todd's Adventures in Slime World. It's a 2D puzzle, not puzzle, but action platformer, I guess. And so mainly you're in like this slime world. You have a water gun. That water gun will kill your enemies. And also if you find water puddles on the ground, that'll heal you. And your damage and like health is kind of shown in the character itself. He'll get like all green and slimy when he's low health. So
kind of similar to a check quest if you have ever played that game.
Oh,
your character gets covered in green goo as he gets shot more.
Okay. Oh, and sorry, also for the VOD, our sound is coming from Tinf0ilhat's screen on the right-hand side. But yeah, when you kill something, like you see in CupofTo's screen, they'll drop like green ooze, like little dots or whatever, drops. And they'll actually do damage, so it's good to shoot something, kill something, and then sort of run away as the ooze falls to the ground. Kind of interesting.
It looks like on Chan's screen here, she is figuring out that she can get power-ups for her water gun to make it shoot 3 bullets at a time, it looks like. I don't know if those are the blue crystals on the ground or not.
The blue crystals are just called blue crystals. I have no idea what they do. But there are gun power-ups. Unfortunately, they don't respawn, and when you die, you lose your power-up. So, when I was playing, I found it almost as beneficial just to sort of ignore the power-ups, because that way you can just, sort of run through the game as fast as you can, because you don't need to kill everything on the screen. Also, you'll see, we should describe how to beat this game. So these players are in a giant maze. I mean, this thing is huge. It's going to take them 15 or 20 minutes to get to the end of this maze. And the only thing that's telling them where to go are little signs and arrows that tell them you should go this way. And whenever you pass one of those, you get a save checkpoint. So they're pretty plentiful, so the saves are pretty plentiful, like I said. But it is pretty confusing where to go sometimes.
And I'm seeing that now, just trying to figure out who is in the lead based on their map in the top right. From what I can figure out, it looks like we have Chan in the lead and Tinfoil Hat in second. But
I believe you're correct there. But yeah, they're very close together actually, and it's also kind of confusing because there'll be multiple paths. So these guys can find multiple different paths, and some of them are sort of hidden. Like when I was playing, I noticed several paths hidden, sort of like below the lakes or the pools of water or whatever, which you wouldn't really want to go down there, especially not if they're slime filled, which would do damage to you. So,
right,
series of options for our players here.
And it does look like Tinfoil has figured out that water heals you, as he notices his character scrubbing the slime off himself when he jumps back into the pool.
Yep, that's correct.
And he seems to be playing it pretty safe, so he doesn't have to reset and can keep moving his way forward.
That might be his undoing, though, because in a speed race, taking damage purposefully is something a lot of people do because it can get them through the game faster. So, and we see that with CupofTo, who's sort of ignoring some enemies and playing it a little bit more risky, but is further ahead because of that.
It does seem like she's making strides pretty far ahead of Tinfoil here, and we'll have to see if he keeps playing it safe or if he is willing to take the risk to try and catch up.
Tinfoil Hat might actually be... I think he was stuck in his own menu. The menu system is just horrible, and there are sort of like consumables and stuff, but if you figure out how to use one, let me know, because it's not very clear.
Yeah, it seems going through the effort of going through that menu might not be worth it when you can kill the enemies pretty easy enough, and you don't really have to kill all of them to be able to get through.
And actually, you'll see on CupofTo's screen, hopefully she'll be back there, but she encountered the first enemy that you really can't kill. You just sort of neutralize it and have to run past it. Oh, these red guys actually are one-hit kills for their little red drops of goo. They'll, one-shot you. So, like I said, this game is very unforgiving. And
looks like Chan just figured that out the hard way.
Yeah. So, actually, right now, Tinfoil Hat has met one of those enemies you have to just pass, which he did, which is good.
I'm still amazed that they were able to figure out which direction they're going. I don't know if I could have.
I know.
would have pieced together that there's a map in the top right unless I had known that it was a maze.
It doesn't. The map really doesn't help, because it's like, yeah, you have a map of your surroundings, but which way are you really supposed to go? It's hard to know.
Right. Hard to get your figure out your bearing.
Mm-hmm. So, CupofTo, I think, is actually at one of the first points where she's going to have to jump up here to move on. And it's not very clear that there's actually a path up there. And jumping in this game is terrible. But she's going to have to figure out...
She is checking in those...
Mm-hmm. She's got to look at her map and figure out where she came from. It's very difficult.
And it looks like Tinfoil has just gotten to that same area as well, and we'll have to see who makes it out of there first, because that could give them a lead as they go forward.
Mm-hmm. Although Tinfoil Hat actually just died, and has another second chance here to go maybe a different route. Oh, CupofTo might be out. Oh, almost.
That is... I would never have been able to figure out that you can just climb up the wall on an angle that
even though you can't
looks,
see it.
looks impassable. Although it looks like she is having trouble climbing up on some of these edges here.
She found
She
it.
has to figure out which one is the one will give her passage. And there we go.
Now that's big because later in the game, you'll have to do a bit more platforming. So to get those skills now, it could provide her for better strengths later.
It looks like Tinfoil, in the meantime, has forged on ahead. Whether he went a different route or was able to jump up through that hole, I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he actually died when he was down in that hole from the poison slime effect, and so he respawned and was able to just jump right over it. Both of these players now finding a path through one of those slime pools. Hidden paths aplenty, but oh, it's a dead end.
Now Chan might be back in the lead as she went past that dead end and is moving upwards.
Mm-hmm. Those blue worms on Chan's screen, they, I think, respawn continuously, and they do a lot of damage. I mean, I had real trouble trying to get through any sort of area where they were at. So we'll see if these players decide to take them head on or ignore them.
It's hard to tell if Chan has figured out that the water heals her or is not, as she keeps forging ahead with some slime stacked on top of her.
Yeah. Although with the checkpoint system, it's not too terrible. She doesn't get sent very far back when she dies.
Right, as you mentioned, it's at every arrow that they get that checkpoint. So, dying and learning from the process might be more beneficial in some of these cases than playing it too safe and really spending a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. So
miraculously taking no damage as Chan falls about 5 stories.
Yep. So I gotta tell you why I hate this game so much, Wes. So I was playtesting this, and this first level that they're on now took me about 15 minutes to beat. So not quite long enough for a race. So I was like, oh, well, I'll play the next level. Hopefully that'll be around 15 minutes long, and, it'll be a good race. Well, I played the next level, and 45 minutes later, I realized this isn't going to work. Just this level on its own would be too long, and I'm not even done. So here I am. I've already put in
as
like
our
over
players
an hour
haven't even made it through this.
into playtesting this. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll try a different game mode and see how that works. And of course, like an hour later, I'm like, this isn't going to work either. So I've put in 2 hours into this game, and I'm like, well, the only thing I can really think about doing is starting from a checkpoint, and there's cheat codes online that tell you the checkpoint starting places, so I'll just use one of them. And so I go online and I download checkpoints and I try them out, and they just take me to places where you would instantly die when you tried to spawn, or it would crash the game. So it was terrible, and I spent another half an hour, 45 minutes trying to figure this out. And eventually I was just like, you know what, I have to play one of those long levels again, get every few minutes write down the checkpoint where I'm at, because it has checkpoints in the top of the screen whenever you pass an arrow, and I'll write down one pretty close to the end. And so that's what I did, but it took another hour to get there. So I put probably 3 hours into this game. This game's pretty terrible. So
even just watching it, I don't know if I'd be willing to put 3 hours into this. So I can understand wanting to share your misery with these 2 players.
I know it was. I was so angry. And actually, CupofTo there just found one of the enemies in the game that I hated the most. There's these creatures where you'll see nothing, just a blank piece of ground, and they'll pop up and insta-kill you with no time to react, like what just happened to Tinf0ilhat. And really, the only thing you can do is jump over them, and or like you have to memorize where they are on the map and jump over them. But man, since there's no way to really remember where they are, it's just a nightmare.
And as mentioned, the jumping doesn't seem to be too great in this game, so even jumping over them could be a hazard.
No, it's pretty terrible. And actually, I think in this run, there's one area where they had to do a double jump. And when I was playing, I thought for a while that, there must be some other way to get through, because I didn't think you could double jump over them. But there's a small safety zone in between the two. So that's what you had to go for. And I eventually got it, so I kept it. I didn't tell our players about it. But, yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
And Tinfoil does seem like he is getting a hang of the menus, whether or not that will help him or not. Not too sure. But now selecting the jetpack to see if he can get up this section here.
You can just jump up there, although it's not... the jumping's pretty terrible. But he got up there.
And over on Chan's screen, it looks like she still has a pretty good lead on Tinfoil as well.
Mm-hmm. Getting through those worms is always really difficult. I still think she hasn't really figured out the cleaning off mechanic yet.
It doesn't look like it, but the water seems at least generously placed enough that she can fall into some whenever she's getting some taking damage.
Oh, and actually, that's CupofTo out of the first level there. So she's going to be moving on to our beginning at a checkpoint. And I've given our players the checkpoint codes. There's a small chance that it'll crash their game or it won't load. In that case, CupofTo would be the winner. But fingers crossed.
Part of the fun of playing with these kind of games.
Oh, yeah.
Finding out what errors we might have.
We knew the risk going in, so...
I'm now finding out that Todd is a Duke Nukem-esque character with that screen at the end where he reviews your progress.
And he always somehow saves the world, even though the objective would be just like, run away from this slime world. And then it's like, he saved the world. And it's like, what? Was anyone else even here? I don't know.
He saved the slime world from themselves. Or from him by running away.
So let's see if CupofTo's did work. So we're in business. So CupofTo's actually moving on to this level where it's basically this one screen here, but then there'll be a boss fight. So and as soon as you beat the boss fight, you have to go through a few more screens, but it's really nothing, and then you win.
And how far into the game is this compared to what we previously saw?
So, well, CupofTo is on level 2, I think, but probably 45 minutes into level 2 she started. And that's actually Tinf0ilhat beating the first level as well there.
And we'll see who can catch up on this boss fight. Players were given a warning beforehand that you can't really tell if you're doing damage to the boss, but you probably are.
Yeah. Yeah, when I played, like, they don't flash or do anything. So when I played, I really didn't think I was doing any damage. And then I thought I was doing it for a long enough time where I would see if something was happening. But that wasn't the case. But eventually I figured it out, and CupofTo's gonna die. Insta-killed monster.
Oh, hidden right when you think you're getting a strategic advantage on the boss by going lower there.
I know. It's
now with this boss, my first inclination would be you have to kill the middle to kill the whole boss.
You would think that. No, so you actually kill the boss by killing all 4 of its little limbs there.
Okay.
The thing's moving. And then I think you have to kill the eye in the middle. Although the eye might die on its own, I'm not totally positive.
It's trying to use all my knowledge of video game tropes here to figure this out.
This actually could be an advantage for Tinf0ilhat right now because he has that gun upgrade. So he's doing 3 times as much damage whenever he shoots one of these guys, which could give him... Ooh, almost died there though. He could catch up here in the boss fight.
Yeah, and as you had mentioned previously, the power-ups are persistent over death, so Chan can't get that pickup unless she were to go to the other side of the screen and pick up a different one. So she's doing much less damage right now.
Oh, and Tinfoil Hat's trying the bottom. Nope. That's just so brutal.
Well, that insta-kill beast is there to even the playing field for all players. No power-ups now for anybody, and we'll see how they can do against this boss.
So another thing I should mention, so sometimes whenever the enemy sort of runs towards the player model and the player model goes to the previous screen, it'll respawn the boss when they enter. So they'll get all their health back, which is makes fighting this boss pretty hard. And I'm not totally sure if his little limbs are random how they move or what, but it's a difficult fight for sure.
Seems like Tinfoil has found a safe zone though, where that bottom left limb wasn't able to hit him, and now that he's gotten that, he can move on to the next one.
I'm glad both of these players have seen the boss take damage. Oh no, CupofTo just left the screen. All four are back.
Oh, I didn't know. When you mentioned that, I thought you meant going to the next screen as a respawn after death, but even just leaving brings the whole thing back.
It's pretty. Oh no, there goes Tinfoil Hat's progress.
Well, it's a game where all the things that can help you are persistent through lives, and all the things that can hurt you respawn every time you leave the screen.
Yeah. I do think standing on that middle platform where CupofTo is at is the way to beat this.
It seems to be the safest from all those limbs, and if they can find a way to hit every single one of them from there, they're really in the clear, as long as they don't leave the screen.
I believe, well, and that's the thing too, because one of the limbs can kind of attack you there, but I think you just got to be lucky with if it's moving towards you or not. And it looks like both of the players actually have found an area where they're not going to get hit ever, really, which is good.
Yeah, and after they clear out that bottom left section there, they can stand a little bit closer to the edge and be completely safe to shoot all of the other one.
And I remember when I was doing this, that middle platform, I took out both of the two lower guys, and then I sort of hopped up on that right platform on the other side of the screen, and I was able to shoot the top two pretty easily. Although the eye gets you in that position, so these players still have a lot to go, and anything could happen.
Now, have we seen any attacks from these eye, or does the eye in the center do any attacks?
He does once all four limbs have been destroyed. He basically just gushes damage. And so you kind of have to just be out of his way. And I think you just have to chill out of his way, and he'll slowly die. I don't think you need to attack him. But I've only beaten this guy once, so I don't know.
And all clearly explained as with everything else in this game.
I should so actually CupofTo just defeated all four limbs, but I think she's gonna die from the poison. She's got too much stacked on her.
And if she dies before that character dies, then the whole boss will respawn, correct?
Yep. It's a pretty unforgiving game. And
now it looks like Tinfoil just reached the eye.
Yeah, but I think he got hit too. It looks like as soon as all four limbs are destroyed, there's a sort of circular attack that the boss makes. And if you get hit by too many, it's just over. Even, so...
And no water in sight, so without any extra power-ups, and let alone the knowledge to actually use those power-ups, they're just going to have to learn for next time to dodge that initial attack and kill the eye in the center.
Yep. Although CupofTo's already taken out, I think, 3 limbs here? It's pretty good. Oh no, 2. And is now trying to go on the other side, which might work out.
Thinking that going beneath that lip there will probably give her a bit of protection when she defeats the 2 upper limbs.
She just got to be real careful when she's at the last limb, and make sure that when it goes down, she's running the other way.
It looked like Tinfoil had tried another position to see if you could get a better angle on him, but is now back to the center position that's been working for him before.
So we'll see. CupofTo is about to destroy this last limb. We'll see if she can dodge that slime. Oh, she got hit pretty hard, but I don't know if that's enough to kill her.
And in your time playing this, were you able to find out if it constantly ticks until you hit water?
No, it eventually goes away. So it'll either kill her here or she'll be fine. And we'll
And
just
from
have
what
to
I can
dodge the
see, it
side
looks
pool.
like she doesn't have any droplets on her, so I think she's at a constant level of health now.
It looks like she's done it.
Jumped into a pit of slime, but didn't take too much damage from it.
I
Just
think.
has to figure out where to go next.
Oh, this is so funny. I think there's a insta-kill guy up here somewhere. But the boss doesn't respawn once you kill him. So I think she's fine. She just has to make it through that red arrow and she'll win. And she is
And
out.
platforming being the true boss here, but Chanto has made it through, and that makes her our winner for this round, correct?
That is correct. So, great job to both of our players here. Thank you again for casting, Wes. This was a bit of a shorter race, but I hope you enjoyed it. Todd's Adventures in Slime World, what a game.
I think I'll probably go play this for the rest of the day now. By that I mean
I think you
I never
should.
want to play it again.
Alright, thank you, Wes. Thank you for watching, and once again, congrats to our players. Till next time, stay frisky.